Hello. Hi, here it's Vanessa. I'd like to thank Linux Foundation for the opportunity to be here um, and hosting talk with Bruna. We work for Itau, and we are going to talk a little bit about our history on the open source program office and what were the main challenges that we face, the barriers that we face establishing the program office. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Vanessa. I am the CTO for emerging technologies in Itau Unibanco. Itau is the biggest, largest bank in Latin America. And I'm based here in New York, searching for technologies, new startups, fintechs, researching on emerging technologies, quantum computing, blockchain, 5G, and open source is one of the main, I would say, tools that we have for emerging technologies and to adopt in Itau. Bruna works in Itau in Brazil. And Bruna, you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello everyone. It's a pleasure to me stay here with you, share a little about our story. And the first, I am Bruna. My name is Bruna, and I'm lead of open source program office at Itau. And I work here since 2004. And during this time, I've been involved with different areas like infrastructure, IT governance, IT operation. And for the last 6 years, I've been working with enterprise architecture and specifically with technical architecture. And I would like to tell you a short story on how we started our journey with open source. Let me, yeah. And this journey started in 2015 when we had to develop a big important project inside the bank. And this project opened a lot of opportunity for us. And one of these opportunity was to work with open source, the very important thing for us. And the first version of our project was ready. I remember that I didn't work with Vanessa yet, the old bosses, and we looked at the environment with other managers, and we thought, oh my God, there is a lot of open source here. And let me take a little break here to explain three important things that we lived in that time. Okay. First, we use it open source. Okay, but majority enterprise version and not community version is not usual for us work with these technologies and involved with communities. And the second thing, we had a lot of dependency on vendors in that time to improve our platform, to develop our products. And this is dependencies is not so good for us. And the third thing is no risks are managed about open source. We had no idea how work these things happen, license, compliance, and vulnerabilities. And okay, the three important things that in this scenario that we live it. And with this scenario, we had to do something to formalize what was happening because, for example, in that time we had a policy that said we couldn't use open source in the company. And I thought, Vanessa, the first barrier that we had to break was to announce to our executive board that from that moment on, we could use open source. And we changed the policies and we have to something to update this. And we were so happy because our VP, our CIO approved the idea. And then in that time, we were so excited because now we can do the open source project. Okay, but we had no idea about what is coming, and because only to change the policies was not enough. And then the next 2 years, we had many challenges, and we found some hurdles in our path. And it's normal in the beginning. We find some hurdles, like we had no budget, for example, and budget is important, for example, to become a member of Open Source Foundation and learn with them. And in that time, we had no budget for this, and we had no engagement with the other departments, and even nobody knew on how to implement the OSPO in that time. And this is the second barrier that we had to break. We was to be resilient and to learn from the scarcity of resource. But today, in my vision, I think, Vanessa, think like me, it's very important to pass through this, because these hurdles make our team stronger. Our vision about open source and our strategy is stronger also. And the first message that I can pass to you is be committed to your open source strategy, and don't give up. Make this vision even stronger than before. And finally, we can do. We arrived in 2020, and after this hard years passed, in 2020 it has been the most important year for us, because it has been the year that we structured an area with total focus in developing an open source program office. And the third barrier that we had to break was to find a leader, and we found Vanessa. Just like you can see, Vanessa stay here, talks about with me about this important subject. And we were running our main pillars of the OSPO with the other important areas in the bank, like, for example, HR, DevSecOps team, legal, a lot of people involved with the team today with us. And we succeeded in proving the budgets also. And it's important because in the beginning of this year, we became a silver member of Finos. And Vanessa talks about a little more about this. And for the last one, I think living this journey since 2015, I can say we won the first steps. The top of iceberg, I think we won, because I noted inside the bank, and I think Vanessa agree with me, our questions, our concerns about open source are changing, are evolving. And all these things show us that we are in the right way. And note this new maturity level arriving in our company. And then a little short story, and Vanessa will tell about our connection with the big techs and the big bands, are the peers to continue this journey. Please, Vanessa.
Exactly, Bruna. So I was very lucky to join the team, because they passed through all the barriers until I joined, and when I joined, it was a little bit easier, I would say. It was very good for me to structure and be part of something, and I believe that my skill set, that is connection with other banks and build the relationships and networks, was something that was missing, because the team was much more focused inside Itau and how to develop and deploy the open source program office inside Itau. But it was without some references. So it was a lot self-studying and knowing and hiring people and discovering, we call training on the job, but with no formal training and no formal references. So when I start doing the research on open source, when I start on blockchain and I start discovering, okay, so this is something that we need. This is something that we should be close to the community. We should participate on meetups. We need to discuss better about and learn with the big techs how they deployed with our peers or the banks. So we were lucky enough to discover what was Finos and how can we be part of it. So it was through actually to GitHub and GitLab, and all our peers were referencing as an open source, I would say, sponsor and on the theme inside the community. So that was something that was more focused on financial institutions. So we decided to join. The discussion with the big techs was something that we put us in reference. So our peers that was more connected to, I would say, to the tech world, like Google, Microsoft, IBM, Intel, those were already, it was Facebook, it was inside their, I would say, their structure, their DNA. So open source was not something new, but it was something very well structured. But the risks that they, of course, they are concerned are not the same as we are, and vice versa. But the structure on how to build the program office, the governance that we should be structuring was the same. So we could follow the same, I would say, idea about the program, about what is our main, I would say, reference and go-to operating model. But then we have to adapt to what is feasible for us and what is our concern. So we are, and I believe that everybody is concerned about risks related to cyber, right? So this was something that we were concerned about: tools, data loss prevention. How can we be part of something and by the same time protect Itau? How can we innovate and be part of something without being so and being cost effective while doing that? So that was one of the main discussions that we had inside Finos and with our peers to learn about the tools and methodologies that they had, how they apply, operating models, so we could mirror what was good, the lessons learned as well, to not follow by the same mistakes. So going and discussing with our peers like Citibank, Deutsche Bank, Goldman Sachs, we start getting close to them, learning how they start consuming, how they start sponsoring projects and opening projects and contributing to the community, and how this relationship should be working. And with that, we connect to Itau and the areas in Itau on how could we evolve and get people together. So the sponsorship for our senior management, I think, started in the beginning of the year stronger, I would say, and what Bruna mentioned, budget was a key aspect that we should be concerned and asking for our senior management. We cannot do anything without being somehow structured with resources, with people that are connected to the community and tools, and put focusing on partners, consultancy firms. So we hired Sense, and I think that Bruna is going to comment a little bit about it, that is to help us with this self-assessment and gap analysis to see what is missing inside Itau and how can we evolve with the open source program office. I think that we are in the right track, but there is much more to be done. And I believe that Bruna can explain a little bit more about what we aim now with the program office. Again, we have a huge sponsorship now with our senior management. They understood, they want this is part of our strategy now. So it's not about only to retain and to gain talent, but it's to be part of something that can evolve. So the technology will evolve with open source. We believe that, and it's part of our strategy today. So maybe, Bruno, you can talk a little bit more about the partnerships and how we are connecting and what would be our next steps for the open source program office.
Yeah, thank you, Vanessa. And I can, now, the foundation, like you said, it's very important part of this journey, because we, for example, we in the bank, we chose two pillars in the Linux Foundation to deep more, because our strategy and our business make sense with these pillars: cloud native computing foundation and Finos financial services is both pillars that we involved more with more approach from these foundations. And it's a key, because in this project we are evolve our vision, our process together with the other companies. And it's important thing to mention here that in this open source project, in that part of this foundation, we link it with our business areas, and is this way that we scale out the mindset open source inside the company. And we are how can I say, we are work together with these areas, but these areas is a sponsorship for each product and project open source, and to following and to participate in working groups like you can see here. For example, we in the open source program office weekly we found with Finos and participate the working group about open source readiness project, and we learned so much with them. It's very important to our team and our company, and very amazing things are happening in the
just to clarify, it was not only those two, those are the main pillars, if you can just complementing what you were saying, right? All the others, like blockchain and hyperledger, all of them are something that we are, of course, we are working, network, we are all interested in all the other projects as well. But those two, we could find a fit to a specific project that we have today, that we thought we could put more effort and be more vocal inside Itau and outside Itau, being more participative on the topics that were in our strategy this year for evolution. So all the others, we attend some of the meetings, we participate in some of the meetings, but being more connected, we should be focusing, right? We do not have unlimited resources. So the scarcity, as Bruna was mentioning, it's something that sometimes is good, because we can focus and we can follow up how they are connecting to the other institutions, what we are learning. So we have these conversations that we have time to time with all the groups that are participating on those projects, on what we are learning, what would be our next steps? Can we be more active on those initiatives? And what are the main areas in Itau that could be connected and participating on a day-to-day? So we could find, for instance, in Alloy, the risk management area, the sustainability area, interested on how to use this technology. So we thought it would be good to have them joining us, but to start doing that, we should explain first and teach them what is open source, why we are investing our time, our expertise, the team, the technology team, to study something and to be part of something, and what would be the main objective, and teach them on how to be part of of our community. Was not something that was, I would say, natural for them. It wasn't something that the bank used to do, right? But more and more they are saying that there is no competition when we are talking about evolution on technology, because it's more about how we use, how we are going to deploy, and not about what we are using. So learning with the other peers, the benefits of their tools, and trying to get together and share as well what we are facing today, share with them what are the main benefits, and how our areas can help with expertise on how to use, right? Bring some use case, and even our questions that we sometimes we think that are so basic, and sometimes we think that we are, oh my God, we are so behind of the other banks, we are so behind of the other institutions. But when we come up to see, okay, so what are the tools that you are using? So did you solve this problem of data loss prevention? And we see that, oh my God, this is more operational, and they limitate the resources that have access to that, but it's not that everybody do have the best in-breed tool to be used. So we got more, okay, so this is not something that we are so far behind, and we can collaborate with them with ideas and join the groups discussing it on how can we evolve with those technologies. So this, yeah. I think that this was the main, the important thing that I learned, is that we are not so far behind. I think that is a journey that some of them, of course, started a few years ago, but the problems are the same, right? Lack of sponsorship. I think that everybody faced the same thing. Lack of resource, lack of tools is not a priority. I think that those are the main barriers that everybody faces. Was not something that was only Itau that was facing, but learning on how they broke the silos, how they broke this cycle of people preventing the technology area on to use open source was important to us. Learning with them, the main, how they overcome those issues, how they got sponsorship, where they invested, what kind of consultancy firm they brought to that company. I think that this benchmark helped us a lot to structure our main steps to build our program office. So I think that being part of a community, being part of a foundation is the main benefit, is the connections that we make, the network that we build, and how we learn with other people's mistake and success as well.
Yeah, good, Vanessa. And yeah, and now it's very important to share with the community how we are organizing to our own open source program. And I started saying that it's not a secret. It's very simple. We follow what the companies have been successful and follow the same path. Best practice are open to follow, and if you is starting an open source program and you have no idea for where, oh my God, what are doing now, and it's very simple. And then this picture shows for us that inspired by Red Hat, for example, but Linux Foundation also have divided program ops like this. And we have 5 pillars that separate about the concerns and issues about contribution, and of other pillar about concern and issue about how we manage our consumption, the risks and the license, what we are use, and the other pillar that we put, because for us is very important. I think now in this moment is the most important thing, to developing the mindset inner sourcing in our teams, because we had a little problem in our company, because we are at 10,000 engineering work together, and then we have to be established inner source mindset to collaborate, and to collaborate more with our products. The team need to collaborate. And other main important pillar is about our strategy and governance. In this pillar, we talks about process, policies, compliance, and this specific pillar. We have a partnership with open source things, and then this consulting help us to improve our strategy, to create a new process, to create a new policies specifically for us, because our industry is very regulated, and we have to do concern about some issues. And the team that involved with pillars, important to say that I think it's all the company are involved with this. And important to say to when we already create new products and open this product, we have to prepare from the legal things, legal issues, and to solve some problems with our image, and everything is very important to concern.
Yeah.
And
if I can contribute, Bruna, I believe that the culture, that's something that we are working within the company. It's part of our strategy and governance, but we'll follow the whole pillars that on our program, in our project, right? So when you mention inner source, and there are companies that they start with inner source to start the open source program, and there are people that start with open source to focus later on the inner source, to learn with open source and then deploy the practice of inner source. So I think that there is no right way or wrong way to do. It's more about how the company is prepared or not to share. So as Bruna was mentioned, one of the barriers that we have inside Itau were to have a lot of engineers. So it's 10,000 people to control and to motivate to use and share components and pieces of technology. And this is not easy, right? It's easier if you can, okay, so if I want to work with someone else development or pieces or code, how can I use it without being something very specific to my need? Can I use and contribute and enhance, or is it easier if I can do my own and deploy faster? So this is always what we have to bear in mind, right, when we are doing it, because we want more reuse. And this is something that was always in our mind. But we know that it's not easy to control. So it's something that we are now inviting them. So, okay, so you want to do open source, and everybody does, right? So you want to be close to the community, you want to do open source. So why not we start sharing and using and reusing what we have inside Itau with the other communities that we have inside Itau? So this was something that it was a change of mindset. And I think that we reached it. Now people are much more collaborative inside the bank, and sharing practices and sharing code, right? So I think that this is something that we are doing much better now. And I believe that, yes, it was something part of our culture change on the program office that fomented the Itau for the open source mindset. So I think that this was something very important and a huge step for us, starting open source, start with this mindset and changing our culture.
Yeah, it's very important to ask help with other areas to help this change the culture. Like, for example, I can mention here change management process. These areas very important: communication, marketing. And then these areas, it's important to help with methodologies, with a right way to scale out this culture, this new culture, this new mindset from all the company. And our partners, Linux Foundation, Finas, to the group is Cloud Native Computing Foundation is the foundation that we are based to learn a lot and to contribute also. For example, we are open issue in Finos in the project readiness to create a new CI/CD process with the other banks, with automation, with tools, and we are developing together with the other companies. It's very important to us, and this is very important to the first step. You have to do contribute also, and then our team now start these things also, because this I think that our maturity is changing little by little, because it's not enough to learn with the other companies and the foundation. We have to do put on our skills, put on our ideas, and change, mix, shake this. And I think the result is better when we have to work together.
Yeah, I think that is one thing that is for us was sort of difficult, because it's not something that is easy to convince legal and compliance area to focus on something that is not part of our day-to-day, is not our strategy, and there are so many risks involved. So when we have to discuss to them what were the main benefits of it. So first we have to show, right? It's not only that we want to run on risk, right? There is a way more benefits that we can assume some sort of risks to be part of something bigger. So they understood, and now they are part of our program office, and they engaged in our initiative. So I think that this was also a very good achievement for us.
Yeah, and it's important to say, Vanessa, that it's latest time to convince all the company, and it's normal also to the journey. It's not usually to legal to treat issues about open source. What is this? Open source, and even it's very important to mention in Brazil, our law is different from the other companies also, and the technology it happened more faster in the other companies. And then our legal learned a lot with our pillars and with the foundation also. It's a specific subject, hard to develop in even to us. It's we all the time we are learning with the foundation, the other companies.
And I think that the big message that we want to share is that the path is not easy. We have to be strong to keep what we defined as a strategy, convince others, and try to engage and be an evangelist actually about the theme is something that is needed, is the basic of the base of this initiative. So it's not easy. It's something that we can do. We did it in Itau. Everybody's engaged now, and they are looking for have this program office well established and start soon to contribute as well with the community. So even if you find the barriers, just be aware that they do exist, but can be overcome. I think that that's the main message that we want to have through.
I agree with you, Vanessa. Yeah, and this is our team, a magnificent team that they never give up, and this it's very important to say that it was a pleasure to share a little about our story and lessons learned with you. And the last thing that I would like to say is that we are big and beautiful community, and the open source have the power to join our financial industry, and we can make a difference in the world, because it's a very important industry for the world. And I dream that let's work together to improve our industry and became the industry is more technological, more innovate with more innovation, and yeah, I am very grateful.
Thank you, Bruna. And thank you, Linux Foundation, for inviting us and
Yeah,
letting us share some of our story. Thank you very much.
thank you. And we are open for to discuss, to learn, and to teach and to share.
And
Please
yeah,
contact us and stay open to us also. We are enjoying this journey with us.
thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.